Okay, I think it's 10 o'clock, and before we open the meeting, let's stand and have an invocation.
Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here today. Lord, we thank you for this wonderful nation, state, and county. Lord, we just ask today that you would be with us, Lord, be in our mind and in our heart as we choose to serve our fellow neighbors, Lord, our citizens. Lord, be with our citizens here today, Lord, as they come to be a part and to participate in everything that's said and done, Lord. We just pray that it would be done in your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Let's say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we would like to welcome each of you here today for our meeting in April. It's April 1st, April Fool's Day. I don't know what that says about us, but anyway, we'll try to get through this as well as we can. First order of business today is approval of the minutes for the two meetings in March 4th and March the 16th. Do I hear any, does anyone have any corrections to the minutes?
Yeah, just a couple here. One, the last commissioner prayer was led by Mr. Hopper at the top of the March 16th. Not Commissioner Jordan.
Any other, go ahead.
Well, it may be a question, I should have said correction, but on page 1651, the May 16th, March 16th minutes, the third paragraph from the bottom, it says, Ms. Roundtree informed the board representative Hunter, Representative Hunter received a letter. Was it a resolution or letter? Maybe they thought it was a resolution.
There was a resolution.
Okay. That should be resolution rather than a letter.
Any other corrections? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and second to approve the minutes as corrected. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. The ninth, we go into the agenda. We do need to make one addition under new business. We need to add 15 surplus from the water department. So you'll add that to new business under Roman numeral 7, item 15, surplus water department. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as adjusted.
So moved. Second.
Okay, the motion has been made to approve the agenda as adjusted. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, first, moving on down to delegations. Do we have any unannounced delegations?
No, we did not.
Okay, but we do have two announced delegations this morning. First, we'd like to recognize Adrian Bradley from our school system, and she's going to speak with us about the Juvenile Crime Prevention Committee funding approval. That's a mouthful, Adrian.
Good morning to you all.
Morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to come, our annual request that you would make approvals. The Juvenile Crime Prevention Council has met. We meet on a bi-monthly, every other month basis. And we met in January to receive the request for proposals. And then in March, our council approved funding for the two program providers that you see listed below. Gates County receives $61,299 from the North Carolina Department of Public Safety. And then, as I mentioned, the request for proposals go out, and these two providers are the ones who we are recommending for using the funds. As you'll see, the Alternatives for Youth program, that's based within the Gates County school system, and the amount there is $32,831. And then the Genesis and Restitution program, which is based out of the Cooperative Extension Office, we're recommending $28,468. Gates County's been receiving this amount, the $61,299, for probably the past 5 or 6 years. We received a little more than that at one time, and then due to budget cuts, it was, cut back to that amount. We are not hearing anything about any anticipated cuts at this time for the amount that comes to Gates County. Within the Alternatives for Youth program, we have a social worker that works at the high school. 50% of her time, she does general social work with the general population at the high school. And then the other 50% of her time, she does interpersonal skills training for youth who have either been recommended within the school, maybe by the principal, or from the juvenile court counselors that work here in Gates County. So that's where she gets her target population from. For instance, this year, she's working with about 8 to 10 students, and she tries to meet with those students at least 2 times a week, and trying to get in maybe as much as a couple of hours with each of those students. She meets with them on campus. She also goes out and makes contact with the parents and with the home so that she can be a resource to them. She has students that are at the high school, and she also has students who are located at Central, and she can go out to the other schools if needed. Within the Genesis program, they do tutoring and enrichment. And at this point, the Genesis program has been targeting young males from 3rd grade on up through the high school. And so I think this year Genesis is looking at maybe expanding, trying to open their program up to female population as well as the males. And again, with Genesis, they do tutoring and enrichment, and their person who works with Genesis also stays in touch with the teachers, trying to see what's going on with the students and how they can be of help to those students. And I think they basically spend 1 day a week going out, to each of the schools. They rotate to the different schools. And Ms. Boone, Kelly Boone, I was checking to see if she had come, just in case there were any other questions about Genesis. And of course, with the restitution, they work closely with the court counselors. If we have youth who have committed offenses and trying to get money back to the property owners. So the local rate or local match, we usually do that by in-kind. And so you see each agency has shown the amount of in-kind they're providing. And then the total with the in-kind is $74,740. So I'll pause and see if you all have questions about what we do with JCPC.
The only question I would have is, do we have any way of measuring success, any means of measuring what success rate we're accomplishing, annually or, during the time the program has been in existence?
And we do. We have measurable objectives that we have to meet within the programs. And what I'll try to do is get a report to you all to let you see what we've done. For instance, when the programs had to submit their request for proposals for for the 15-16 school year, They showed what they had done with their goals for 13-14 and what they had done so far for the 14-15 school year. And I can speak, I serve as the program manager with Alternatives for Youth, and we did meet our goals for, some of the goals that we have is that hopefully a student will not be, if they've been in the court system, that they will not go back into the court system again. So we were successful with that particular objective. So yes, we do have objectives, I just don't have a copy of it here with me now. But we are required to submit measurable objectives so we can see what has been accomplished.
I have a question about tutoring. When does that occur?
The tutoring with the Genesis program is after school, it's in an after-school setting. And so this year, we had the 21st Century Grant that was offered here in Gates County. So Damascus Church has been working along with Genesis to make sure that they're not, I guess, duplicating. But to answer your question, the tutoring does occur after school.
At the various schools?
At the various schools, they pick a day, you know, Tuesday they might be at T.S. Cooper, and Wednesday are at Central, and with the Genesis program, they also try to provide transportation to get those kids home after school.
That's my next question.
Yeah. So
Because some of these are not drivable age.
that's right. Like I said, because they work as young as 3rd grade. And they've shared with us when we have our juvenile crime prevention council meetings that the young ladies have asked, hey, wait a minute, y'all are leaving us out. What are you going to do for us? And so that's why Genesis said they're going to try to expand to meet the female population as well as males.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question, Madam Chairman. How do we compare with the other Tier 1 counties as far as funding from the state?
I'm not quite sure the answer to that question.
Funding is, if it's still the same formula as in the past, it's based on population. Youth population is a large percentage of that funding formula. But that was speaking from when I worked on with JCPC in Hertford County several years ago.
And not according to the number of juveniles that are troubled?
Right.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Adrian, for coming and sharing that, and we look forward to getting that information about how you measure success.
All right, thank you. And I do, as I said, recommend these for funding.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard the report from Mrs. Bradley. Do I hear a motion to approve funding for the JCPC funding plan?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the funding for the JCPC funding plan for this year.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. The motion before us is to approve the funding for the JCPC Juvenile Crime Prevention Program. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Our second announced delegation is from the Coastal Care and East Carolina Behavioral Health Consolidation Group. Bland Baker is with us today to share information about what they are doing.
Thank you very much, Chair and County Commissioners. My name is Blaine Baker. I'm the new Regional Director for the North for ECBH. I have with me Michael Pecky, who is our Deputy Director of External Operations. I want to talk today about our proposed two-tiered board structure that is in your PowerPoint that you got. But I want to talk a little bit first about the history of ECBH, where we started, how we got to where we are today. For those of you who may not be that familiar with us, prior to 2007, we started as a small four-county area program. And we operated that way for years. We were a service provider. We were Gates, Northampton, Berkeley, and Oakland counties. And we operated that way for many years, up until 2007. We actually entertained a merger with New Center. They brought 3 counties with them. Roanoke Chowan Human Services, which was our 4-county area, we brought 4 counties. Pitt Mental Health brought 1 county with them, and then Beaufort County also joined us. So in 2007, we became East Carolina Behavioral Health. So then we went from 4 counties to 9 counties. In 2009, we were asked by the Division of Mental Health to manage the Albemarle and Tidal counties. They had 10 counties. We were asked to manage them. And then in 2010, in July, they actually joined East Carolina Behavioral Health. So it brought us to 19 counties. And then in April 2012, we actually became an MCO, LME MCO. We actually implemented the 1915 BC waiver, which is a Medicaid contract managing the Medicaid dollars, which kind of brings us to where we are today. Effective July 1, 2015, we're going to consolidate the coastal care. So that will be ECBH and coastal care, which will bring us to a total of 24 counties. This consolidation is in line with the Medicaid plan that's been approved by the governor, so we've been mandated to reduce the number of MCOs across the state. I think there are 9 currently, and then with our consolidation, it brings us down to the 7 across the state. This kind of brings me to our presentation this morning, what we want to talk about. Actually, under this North Carolina Statute 122C, it says that a governing board can be no less than 11 members and no more than 21 members. It also says that when a multi-county area has a population that exceeds 1,250,000, that we can propose an alternate board structure, which is what we're doing today. Okay, actually, Coastal Care and ECBH put together a steering committee, and they're proposing a 2-tiered board structure that would keep the governments close to the communities that we serve, and we do that through regional advisory boards. You see on the screen the 3 proposed regions are the southern region, then the central region, and the northern region, which is where you all are located. And I am the director for the northern region. Each of these regions will have equal representation on the advisory boards. So if you see, this is a graphic of the Northern Regional Advisory Board with all 10 counties in the northern region. Each of the regions will be made up of 2 appointees per county, which would be the county commissioner, and then another representative, an appointee by the commissioners that would fall into categories of people with expertise, maybe somebody from social services, could be somebody who has a background in finance, a banker or CPA, or someone in health administration in those areas. So we would look for an appointee from the county commissioners for a county commissioner, and then one of those that would fit one of those categories. Okay, talking about the purpose of these regional boards, looking to involve the local stakeholders that could respond to the unique needs of the community, to promote understanding, collaboration among the counties with the MCO, with the governing board, to really look at monitoring the performance and services within the region, Also, you would be, the regional board advises the CEO on my evaluation and the hiring of future regional directors. We look at annual budgets, recommendations from the commissioners around, state and county funds and how they are incorporated into the annual budget. We look at the community, the needs and concerns of each individual county and in that region. Then we actually monitor the results of those issues. The other thing that we do at a regional level, we monitor the performance of providers. We look at access to care. Are people getting services when they need them? Can they walk in, get services when they actually need the service? Are they getting the right amount of service at the right time? Look at the financial status and expenditures of the board. We look at service delivery. And then we look at the actual composition of the network of providers that we currently contract with and look at the size, look at the composition, is it sufficient for the areas that we serve. We look at consumer satisfaction. We do consumer satisfaction surveys, look at the results of those. We also, regional advisory boards would look at the needs and gaps in the area and then make recommendations on the service array that would be involved. So moving on to the governing board, as I said, the regional boards would make recommendations for those to participate up to the governing board. They would make up the governing board. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But in terms of the responsibilities of the governing board, they determine policy. They actually look at strategic planning and look at considerations that are brought up from the regional advisory boards to the governing board. They monitor the budgets. They actually hire and evaluate the CEO of the organization. They look at the performance and overall financial management of the MCO, and then address governmental affairs and advocacy. The other thing that responsibilities for the governing board include reporting to the counties, responding to any concerns that may be brought forth from the regional advisory boards, and then give feedback to the regional advisory board. Actually approving our bylaws for the regional board, and then any other responsibilities outlined, for the area authority. This is an example of what the governing board of directors would look like. So you have equal representation from each region. And so you would have appointed from the regional board, you would have a county commissioner, you'd have a CFAC member, and you would have 2 appointees that meet those special criteria I just talked about a little bit earlier from each region. So in summary, we were proposing 3 regions that cover all 24 counties. We have the regional advisory boards that maintain that local presence, which I think when we grow to the size of 24 counties, that becomes more and more important, that those regional boards stay close to the communities that we're serving. And then we have a local advocacy for consumers and family on the involved on the board, and then the accountability of services that are within the communities. Are there any questions that we can answer?
Madam Chairman, I don't have a question, but a comment. I attended a meeting in Williamston some time ago. Is court a part of that behavior?
Absolutely. That actually, in several of our counties, they are in coastal care now, and in our catchment in the Greenville area, and they go on up into the Elizabeth City area as well, and actually out in their county. So they are a very strong especially a substance abuse provider in our catchment.
How often does would the regional board meet?
That would be dictated by the regional board. Our thought would be that initially, we may have to have some monthly meetings to get ourselves established. We have to develop our bylaws. One of the biggest responsibilities that's going to have to happen is that in the regional board, the governing board will be appointed. And so it will take several meetings to get that done, but ultimately it will be up to the regional board how often they meet.
Well, how about the governing board?
The governing board meets every other month, I believe. Is that right, Mike?
It currently meets every other month. It's required to meet 6 times a year, and that would also be determined by that board on how often they need to.
Yeah, as I see here, the way the structure is set up, we're going to have a commissioner from the regional board on the governor board, so he's going to have dual duties. He's going to have a little bit of a, put on his track shoes a little bit. And, that's not, it shouldn't be an issue. But I did go through the resolution, and I did not see, you basically outline all the things that would be considered for the board, but I did not see anything regarding a stipend to cover travels and so forth. And normally this is something that would be addressed, it should be addressed, and looking at that, the budget, it would be budgeted from the ECD budget rather than the county.
Right. And actually, that program, we will treat the regional boards just like the governing board. It's a stipend for the travel.
There's I think their stipend is $50 currently, and in addition to that, travel and meals. And we would budget money for both the regional advisory boards as well as the governing board to cover those expenses.
I have a question about the governing board of directors. On the regional level, every county is represented.
Right.
Okay. And from the region, like our region is 10,
Right.
10 counties, we will have one county commissioner on that, up from that 10.
Right.
Do we have a process where we'll rotate that from county to county?
Actually, they actually will rotate every term. They'll turn over, and then someone from another county. And we did that so that every county, although it may take some time, every county would have an opportunity
So every 10 years you have
to have representation on that board.
on the governing board.
Right.
I don't know what the other board members have in mind, but I do just want to point this out. We may very well have a commissioner on that board, but it does say board designee. I just want to be clear about that.
It does, and we did that in case a group of county commissioners wanted someone other than the commissioner to serve. We would prefer it to be a county.
Sure, sure. And probably we would too, but I just want to be clear because it says that right here.
Right.
And that's the way our current law is written, a county commissioner or a designee. But I'll have to be a county.
Because we could have a retired professional here that has a lot of history or experience with mental health. Could be a great attribute to. So we would certainly look at this very carefully, knowing the impact of it. But I just want to be clear about that. And then one other question I had, on one of your slides, the one that's titled Regional Advisory Board Responsibilities. The second bullet says, recommend priorities for expenditures of state county funds for development of the annual budget.
What do you want to address that?
78% of our budget comes from federal dollars. The rest of our budget, which would be 22%, comes mostly from state dollars, but also county funds. I think each county in our area, I think, is $2 a head. So it would provide the opportunity for those regional boards to have input on where we spend that money and how that money is spent.
So Is it going to be one budget for the 24 counties, or is it going to be 3 budgets?
There would be one budget for the 24 counties is the way I think it would work out.
And so the distribution is going to be, I think you said $2.
That's what it currently is, and
Right.
I don't see that changing.
And that's based on the population of the county, right? Okay. So, but if one county had a greater need than another county, irrespective of the population, would that change that formula somewhat, or is it still to be based on?
With our Medicaid services, which are the majority of our money, we're in many ways like an insurance company. We're given a per member per month, our capitated amount to serve our area. So the amount of money of Medicaid will be based on the needs of the community, the availability of services, so there is going to be some variability there. The majority of our local money that we receive right now, we spend in 2 areas. One of those areas is called CIT, which is Crisis Intervention Training, which is training for sheriff's department, first responders, and whatnot. So when they go out to a situation, many times they go over a crisis where there's a behavioral health issue, is that they'll have more experience and expertise in how to solve those problems. The other areas we provide service, we spend our local money is in recovery education classes. We have a recovery outreach program. It's called Recovery Interventions. I think in your county about at least monthly, or what our contract requires. And they provide education to individuals on like self-help. Those are where we designate our money now. There may be something that you feel that we need to, as a regional group, that we need to realign some of those dollars. Our state dollars, I'd like to say there's a lot of flexibility in, but a lot of our state dollars have supported the same program for like the last 20 or 30 years. So like a group home or a day activity program, or for example, in a Hosky, 30 miles away, runs a crisis detox center. So that program's been supported by state money for many, many years. So there is a little flexibility on how we do those, but I would say that some of that is limited based on history.
For our area, speaking of Gates County, you said 30 miles away, which is, we're glad that it's that close. Do you see areas that need to be addressed in Gates County? And I know you said alcohol support there, but for something other, should we be looking to try and capture, bring something to the county?
Well, we actually served 284 consumers last year from Gates County. That I think those services cost $1,400,000. And even though for Gates County there's not a lot of providers right in Gates County, there are a lot of providers that are in the surrounding counties that connect to Gates County. And a lot of our services that we provide, even though there's not a provider in Gates County specifically for a service, there are a lot of in-home services. So where you may have a provider that's in a hospital, but if they're serving people in Gates County, they'll hire staff from Gates County to serve those consumers in Gates County. So that's how, especially in areas where it's very rural, that's how we take care of that. In addition to Recovery Innovations, the Power Review does substance abuse prevention work in Gates County through, they work with the school systems, they have worked with the Sheriff's Department in terms of identifying youth with drug issues, that kind of thing. And so that's kind of the way we address areas like this.
So each year we do a gaps and needs analysis. And we really think the regional boards will be very involved both in providing input into how we do that gaps and needs analysis, as well as taking a look at what comes out of the gaps and needs. And so when we say we want you to provide information up to the system, we want to provide you a lot of data about how many citizens are served, what services they receive, what services are nearby, what services do they have to travel to. So we want to be very data-driven and very rich as far as data. And honestly, it's hard to recruit licensed practitioners, in this area. That's one of the reasons so many people have to travel into this area. one of the things I think we're probably the most proud of we've done the last couple of years is we put a lot of time and effort in local prices. So when someone has a crisis, we should always have crisis worker here within an hour that can work with that individual, work with the police department, and things like that. So a lot of that is trying to bring services in. So I think we'll continue to provide you more information, which tends to both informs us as well as puts a little pressure on us too to perform for you. And that's the idea of the regional boards and government boards.
Let's go back to the crisis intervention training. Is that free service?
Yes, sir.
Sheriff's Department, whatever. Does that include aggressive behavior at de-escalation?
Yes.
How could we, our Department of Social Service has been interested in getting trained on aggressive behavior de-escalation, from one-on-one contact with clients and so forth. How would we get in touch with the proper person to see about that type of training?
I think it would be this gentleman right here in the future. There are a number of programs that, say, mental health providers use to treat their staff that are certified types of programs that staff can go through. We could probably even potentially lift what we do for the police officers and maybe come in and take that one module for a couple hours would not be a certified program, but take a couple hours with DSS. But I think certainly we can make some.
All right, so we'll get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm sure I got good speaker.
Right, I'm sorry.
I think you'll be very happy.
When he writes your name down, you're trouble.
Lynn, do you have a business card you can give me?
Well, actually, not a new one, title or anything, but,
So we'll make sure Glenn gets business cards to you.
yeah.
And also like your sheriff or DSS director, we really don't want to call it Greenville. We really hope they don't call Greenville first when we have a problem. If they do, we'll respond to them. We really want Glenn to be the person that has that relationship, that can provide that information.
And I hope that this is going to be a benefit of the counties, at least the counties that are in my area, is that I'm the one you call. I'm your personal contact for any commissioner who has any concerns or issues, or anybody, any stakeholders in our area, that we can actually, someone that you can call that will respond to you, that we may have to do a little working together to kind of figure these things out, but that's, hopefully, that will be a big advantage for
Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I have one other question and comment, sort of combination. In the meeting that I attended, I also attended the budget meeting in Williamson and received the booklet, if you will. I asked if that could be sent or forwarded to our county manager. I'm not sure if she got that or not, but I do have that. And that budget's a substantial budget.
Yep, it is.
And I also noticed that in reviewing that budget, that you also purchase properties and sell properties that you...
Well, we're mainly trying to sell old properties. Right now, we can't sell. We've got about 4 or 5 of our own buildings. I mean, we started off, when we finished, there would be 7 LMEs that were old LMEs in the days when we had 41 that made us up. So we've got a lot of property that we are trying to get rid of. A lot of it's moving, to be quite honest with you. And it's been on the market forever at just very depressed prices. We have, I think we have 4 pieces of property that we'll probably keep. But I guess I'm talking about that.
That answers it, and I just want to comment to my fellow commissioners that I'm not sure if I know the county manager was aware that I attended that meeting, but it was a very enlightening meeting too. And I would say maybe about 50 to 55 people were in that meeting, and from all the counties represented. The behavioral and mental problems that communities seem to have can roll over very quickly, not only in our community, but also to our schools. And so I think it's very appropriate that we maintain the 8%.
My question is, today you're looking for us for a resolution of support.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. Is there any additional questions that any of you have? Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion of support for, resolution of support for the alternative governing structure of the area authority serving Gates County from the East Carolina Behavioral Center.
So moved.
Second.
And motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the resolution of support, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Well, thank you, and thank you for what work you're doing in our area.
Thank you so much.
I believe that is our last night's delegation. We'll move on to administrative reports, beginning with our county manager.
This is for February 19th through March the 20th. Historic courthouse update, there are no changes. Many messages have been left with Shelley Sass of Sass Conservation. I have also sent her an email, and Mr. Jack Pete, who was the historic mason that has been over to look at the courthouse, has been contacted to see if he could perhaps speak with Ms. Sass about our project as well. The EIC building initial work has been completed, which includes a French drain being installed. The old insulation has been removed from underneath the building, and sand is being placed under the building. Any additional work that needs to be done will be completed in the next budget year. And this would include replacement of the insulation after the EI group reviews the work that's been completed to date to make sure that the mold issues have been solved. And then we would like to budget also for the work to be done on the inside to remove any of the remaining mold issues. All departments have submitted budget requests, and the budget presentation will be at the first May meeting. On March the 5th, 12 Gates County employees attended a records and retention training that was sponsored by the State Archives of North Carolina. March the 10th, Chair Hofler, Sandy Pittman, and I met with Dr. Williams, Ruth Blanchard, and Chair Boone of the Gates County Board of Education for a budget needs overview. There will be a joint board meeting on April the 20th at 4 p.m. at the Board of Education. And I will also send that as a reminder to everyone in email. On the same day, Teresa Cole, the Albemarle Regional Library Director, Sandy Pittman, and I met to discuss the Gates County public library needs. March 11th, I attended the Gates County Juvenile Crime Prevention Council meeting. JCPC reviewed the monitoring of the funded programs as well as approved funding for the fiscal year 15-16 budget, which has been presented already today during our meeting. On March 12th, Chair Hoffler and I attended the Albemarle Regional Solid Waste meeting in Hertford. The current budget and the draft budget for 15-16 were discussed. Discussion was also held regarding the Washington County joining the group. Following that meeting was the PCG meeting. Brad Gardner gave an update on projects that have been completed at convenient sites in all three counties, and those that were ongoing. Budgets were also reviewed. Mr. Gardner shared that a few Gates County residents have contacted him about wanting platforms installed around the open-top containers at the sites so they can be accessed more easily. He said that PCG is not responsible for this since this is a Gates County only request. But they had discussed this with insurance, and insurance recommends metal platforms, not wood. If Gates County wishes to provide the platforms, they would have to be funded through Gates County. And I attended the School of Government, Municipal, and County Administrative course March 17th to the 20th. Do you have any questions?
The joint meeting, is it 4 o'clock?
Yes, on April the 20th,
Yes,
which is a Monday.
When you met with the library, were there any pressing needs?
There were a few things that they were wanting, but they were going to take care of them out of this year's budget. They again brought up the humidity levels, which I know that Crystal and I have discussed several times. We talked about what needs to be done, and they're going to go ahead and ask for funding to put film on the windows to cover the windows. They feel that that will assist with the humidity levels that are in the building. They feel that it's an HVAC issue, but I know Crystal has stepped out. I know that she and Nathan have been out there a few times, as well as the HVAC company that installed the units. And they've looked at the units, and they said the units are not the problem.
How much are we budgeting for them for the Alamo Regional Library this year?
This current year, I don't have that, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Sandy, do you?
I believe it's 92,000.
And they've not submitted their request yet for this coming year.
Also, on the old courthouse, is Ms. Sass, I understand she's the professional, more or less, the best source, but what other options are we looking at in case this doesn't materialize? Because, we've sent her many messages, she's got emails, she's a busy lady, but
Apparently, there's not anything right now. Clearscape has kind of just held off to see if she would respond. I think the options that were being considered before, Mr. Pete recommended that we speak with her, and that recommendation was seconded by James Andrews and also by Clearscapes. So the options would be to take down the entire west end wall and replace that entire wall with new brick, which would then be covered with the stucco, or to replace part of the wall with new brick. Those were the two options that were tossed out, so to speak, before it was suggested we speak with Ms. Sass.
and she may be able to offer an option that may be much less than the options we're looking at.
No, that's not what she's being asked to look into. What she is being asked to look into is to help figure out what is causing these issues. As an email from John Zellweger the other day, he said he's never seen anything like this in all of the historic renovations that he's done.
What do you need?
And James Andrews has told me the same thing. They feel like there is something going on that they don't understand, and they would like for her to come in and try to figure out why the building is settling the way it is and what's causing some of these issues before the wall is rebuilt. Because either way, they're all in agreement, the wall has to be rebuilt. Whether it's half the wall with new brick or the whole wall with new brick. But they would like her to address the entire building to see if she can identify, okay, this is what's causing it, and if we fix this before we fix the end wall, then it will not create this problem again.
You asked a question about the library, and I go out there and take a look every now and then, and we really need to do something about our lawn. It really needs to be turfed. That's what needs to take place, in my opinion, give us the best, immediate fix, and we probably do the best job long term. I feel pretty sure that the assisted living people will probably do the same to their, probably have heard them say that. That's one thing I'm concerned about. Excuse me.
I know that someone had given me a quote, an informal quote on some work, and they estimated probably at least $3,000 if you went out there with fertilizer, tilled it up, and then went back, did that in spring and in the fall, and then the following year actually did the work to either install turf or to put in permanent grass seed.
I'm not familiar with anything as far as cost of turf.
I don't either.
but it is, it's just bare grain. Any other questions for our county manager? Yes. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, since we have everybody back in place, we will continue on with administrative reports. I believe the next is tax department. What's Kathy? I'm sure she'll be back in 1 second. Our next report is our tax.
April Fools, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, you had a chance to, hot off the press as of yesterday, the tax collector's report. Lori Chavis did a wonderful job getting that together, because yesterday was a monthly closeout, so you'll see that presented there to you. Any questions or any items or comment on that?
I did have one observation. The solid B portion at the top, where I guess it's on the prepayments, do those come in monthly, or it's blank? That blank is kind of...
Yeah, we probably need to remove that from the collector's portion. We no longer bill in any method for the solid waste from the tax
It was
standpoint.
added because we collected some solid waste last month from a foreclosed property, and I did not remove it, but it doesn't come off.
Yeah, it's kind of an older existing line item, if you will.
If I understand, but I believe that comes on our water bill.
It does, and I think in years past, there, in some counties, surrounding counties, still utilize the method of putting solid waste for the tax. However, for us, that probably needs to be, we can clean up that line item, like Lori mentioned, an old existing account that was in foreclosure.
Yes, because before we had it on our tax bill.
Yes.
And it's a person who's been delinquent for years on that tax, there's that solid waste.
Yeah,
when
when she printed the scroll and the daily distribution, if you will, that tagged in that, SWB, so yes. You'll notice some, just as with the ZLS, speaking of foreclosures, as we often do mention, you see a little bit of activity being generated by ZLS. Those new accounts that were sent, those 36 accounts, we've got some good response. As I mentioned previously, it's nothing like getting letterhead from a law firm that seems to excite the taxpayer, and that's been the case here in recent months. We've had some good activity, so.
I noticed that it's time for the Board of Equalization. Do we need to set a date for that?
We do, because we'll have to get the ad in the paper. We'll at least need 10 days to advertise prior to the first meeting according to general statute. So as we approach the middle of April, we've got some target dates we can work with. If the first advertising goes in the paper as of April 8th, we can convene, I believe, on the week of the 20th or so for our first meeting. So far, as my report indicated, we don't have anybody scheduled. I've got 2 appraisals submitted from taxpayers in the office. They may be, pending what I find when I do my field visit and read through the appraisals, they may be scheduled for the board, but right now there are no active, taxpayers on the docket.
Well, I would say we could meet before our, nightly meeting, but we do not have a nightly meeting this month.
Now, you're saying if you advertise it on the 8th, that the first would be the week of the 20th?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We'll need at least to advertise at least the first publication, at least 10 days in the paper prior to that first, day of convening for the board. So that'll put us, for 10 days, the week of the 20th, for the first. If we advertise any later, and get it in the paper on the 15th, that's going to put us the last week of April for our first meeting. And we still fall within the guidelines based on general statutes, can't meet before the first Monday in April. However, we'll still be within that time frame if we advertise on the 15th and set a date.
And we have to meet at least 3 times.
At least twice, 2 weeks they recommend in a non-revow year, no more than 6 weeks in a non-revow year, in terms of for being open, if you will, before we adjourn.
I guess what I'm getting to is, in the past, I believe when we first met, we met for training. We have a day of half hour, whatever, of training. And then if we had someone on the docket, we would address that. But if we didn't, we would go ahead and close. And we would, I don't know how we handled it, but we scheduled meetings on the other dates. But if we didn't have anything, we did not have to meet, come in. But we did have to come in on the last day. It keeps us from sitting there 3 or 4 hours for formality.
Right.
I don't know. They want to check with the names now, but, unless you've got a plan for us now. I don't have a problem with the week of the 20th. I believe it's normally, when we meet, is it in the afternoons or?
We normally meet in the afternoon for the convenience of the public. But we're meeting on the 20th with the Board of Education.
That's out.
Seems like our first meeting may be around 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock or something like that.
Then we have a training.
Well, we could do that prior to the board meeting.
Training. Well, in the past, now normally we receive a training booklet. I know one year that you got someone from the Department of Revenue come down, but I don't think that's mandatory. But there's the board training. It's routine, it's repetitive, but it's a requirement. And once that's over, if no one is there, basically, we can close out. Set another date.
Right, yeah, and have that referenced in the paper as well, given that, opportunity, to have anybody wishing to be heard. So, I'm open for that. Like I said, if we shoot for having it in the paper next week, the first advertisement, the forms are, the Department of Revenue's got a sample form they utilize, and I know Renee also has one. It's just a method of changing dates and times, of course. And the time needs to be also referenced in the paper, so whatever the board would, decide upon a time, we could have that referenced as well.
Would it be suitable for the board if we did it on the 20th at an earlier time than when we go to the Board of Education meeting? That way, your afternoon would be cut a little shorter, but
That would be good.
but you wouldn't have to come twice. The training takes about 30 minutes, doesn't it?
Usually, yes, it's just a review, some things to remember, just some guidelines. The Department of Revenue's got actually a booklet that they put out, just guidelines, stipulations, things that the board, would keep in mind for the board meeting on. It's like, Chairman Jordan mentioned, pretty routine and basic information.
What do you think, maybe, I was thinking maybe 1:30, should we do it at 1:30 and close out by 2:30? That way we have time to get over to the board.
Meetings at 4, Board of Education.
So that means at 4.
You said the 20th.
Yes.
Okay.
Or we could do it at 2, and
Just schedule maybe two
Okay.
people if we had any at all.
Yes, yeah,
Two
and-
the first day.
yeah, that would work, starting at 2 o'clock.
and remember, this is a non-reval year, so we'll have the ones after we do a revaluation. That's when you have your big KOA.
That's right, the more congested calendar, I guess, after reval, so yes. But, yeah, that sounds good. We will shoot for beginning convening on April 20th from 2. That time will be referenced in the paper, and those persons will wish in the schedule.
I know one year, or maybe several years, we closed it on the night of the
Your
commission.
meeting.
That way, we could save another, we could do it 2 weeks.
And that way, in May, we do we have to, is there a time frame that we have to do it in?
Yes, no longer than 6 weeks and a non-reval year, which
Okay,
would be
so
all
that will
the
be
time.
fine, we can do it night meeting up in May, and just meet earlier and for that.
There's a tentative EDC meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock that night. But if there's nothing on the agenda, you can do this.
Well, it's like, that's trivia, there's nothing on the agenda, it's just based on formality, just closing it out.
And then, and I don't think we'll have anybody here for, if we have anybody, it'll be at the first meeting, I would think. Okay, let's try to do it the April 20th, and then the May, the 19th. 18th.
Okay, all right. That'll work, we'll get that.
And we meet at 7 o'clock on those nights anyway, so we meet at 6.
Okay, all right.
I have a question. Where reval came up. Next year is a reval year.
Yes, going into actually effective 2017, yes.
And the public receives their new figures for their property. What time? What month?
In that reappraisal year, typically, some counties, based on my experience, I've seen it done both ways. Before the Christmas holidays, effective for, and that's just based on a personal experience with that, the tax administrator in one county wanted them to be out by the Christmas holidays. For that value effective January 1 of X year, 2010 or whatnot, we would mail them out, that Christmas of 09. Some counties wait till after the Christmas holidays and they shoot for a February, March window. That is to say, we finish the reappraisal, we've got all our field work done, everything's been changed, new values are out, and we would send notices effective February of 2017. I've seen it done that way. They typically, the theory is you don't like to wait too long because you'll be getting into when your board of the NR would convene, so you would like to have those notices hit the mail and the people have a chance to appeal, you review all your field work or any field visits, any corrections. So when the board convenes in April, you can tag some of those appeals, if you will, into your ENR date. So typically before that April, you would like to have them February, March.
So the actual revaluation work will be done in 2016 to become effective January 1 of 17.
That's right. Now, in saying that, as we approach this fall, we, in deciding on the firm and the contract service we would decide upon, that field work probably needs to begin no later than this fall, because you develop your market sales analysis, you develop market trends of properties, and the economy being still struggling in the way it's been struggling with sales, a lot of foreclosures on the market, we realize that. But typically you would want to have a firm in place as we approach the October, November months, and that gives them a time to develop some ratios, some trends within the county, although there are not a lot of trends, and develop new rates. So in saying that, that gives them time to develop sales and start the field work As my note indicated, Pioneer Appraisal Services, Gary Pioneer, I had a chance to meet with him, and Renee McGinnis, of course. They're very interested in working with the county on the next reappraisal. I am excited about that as well. I've got some ideas that perhaps will save the county some money doing it a portion in-house. That is to say, I would be involved with the schedule of values, helping rewrite those, as well as some of the data entry. I think we can, I know we budget every year for the reappraisal. That's every county in the state does, but I'm kind of excited about having them on board if the commissioners, if we move in that direction. I think we've got some ways to save some money and still get a good product, a good end product, so.
Okay, any additional questions? Well, thank you so much for your report, and I do like this new form now.
Yeah, it's with the color included, this little teal Martha Stewart green is kind of nice. Just one other note about the Ellis Law. I know in a previous meeting, a board meeting, there was some discussion about meeting with Travis Ellis. He did not go for a in-person meeting. We, myself and Lori Chavis, opted for a conference call. That was his other offer. And as you see in the notes, and I think I've submitted some foreclosure accounts there, some copies there for you. He is at a step that he needs to kind of get a green light on whether we would advertise by, in the paper, do a mass a statement of service, if you will. Those titles that he's been working on, they've been difficult to reach. So he's kind of at that standpoint where we're going to go. Out of the batch he has, 2 of them I kind of highlighted in bold because we've made contact with those taxpayers in the last 2 weeks. Deputy Collector Lori Chase and I had a chance to visit the property not long ago in Riddleston Township, and they were actually cutting the timber. So we had and this was an old delinquent account, so as fate would have it, we had a chance to interact with the taxpayer who was not far down the road and the timber was being cut. So those were things that, it worked out for us that day. But in saying that, on the other accounts that are not in bold, Travis is at the point where he's done the demand letters. He's tried to do some title search, and he'll just need he's on hold as of, the commissioner giving him some feedback on those accounts.
As I look through these, and we've all, I think everybody's got a copy of these properties that are in foreclosure with Ellis. One thing that we've done in the past is that with these properties, it looks like they're probably going to be difficult to sell.
Yes.
But the adjoining landowners, if they would be interested, I know we've got to go through a process.
Right.
But certainly, we've made contact with them, let them know it's available. There's a possibility that they could get it at a very reasonable price. I know we can't tell them how much or whatever, but that seems to be the best option because these properties are nowhere. They're not on main roads, some of them.
Yes, with no frontage. I agree wholeheartedly. You might even have I don't say warehouse or International Paper Corporation who might tie into some land that abuts theirs. That might be a valuable option. They are unique. All of them, are vacant properties there. I mean, it's not like it's your traditional 1 acre or 2 acre home site where you put a modular with frontage. It's off-road tracks, it's irregular shaped tracks. That would be difficult to sell.
Yeah, that adjoining landowner is probably the best prospect. I see the one on 32. It's kind of like an arrowhead there.
It is, yes.
And it's only a half an acre.
Yeah. And so whoever owns the land adjacent to it is probably the one that would, would benefit from it.
Yeah, I agree. That's
So if you take a look at that, I think that would be an option as well.
Okay.
Parker Lane, how many acres is that? 14.
Yeah, that's one of the, I would say nicer, that's actually got some standing timber and hardwood and probably maybe 5-year-old hybrid pine in place, so that's, I would say that's the most desirable. That goes to the dead end road, of course, but that property is, with acreage and the frontage and the soil types are a little bit more accommodating there.
That
Class
one
1 soil.
That one may be maybe more marketable than the rest.
Yes, yeah, I agree, yes, sir.
I think we need to move forward.
Yeah, I do too. I think we need to move forward with those and see if we can get those off the books.
Okay, I'll get with Mr. Ellis and he'll proceed with that next step. And keep in mind, any elevated advertising fees, and they do get expensive, that gets tied in with the account. So it's not like the county is looking to absorb all advertising fees. They get tagged with the particular account as we move forward. So that it kind of balances out when the property is sold. It's not like it's tagged exactly to the county. It gets tagged to that parcel, if you will.
So these advertising fees are like a lien on.
They are, we'll develop a batch in our group of work, and they get assigned, whether it's $120 or whatever that fee would entail. We'll open up a batch and have it charged to X parcel 101 or whatever that would be. So
How about the attorney's fees?
that also gets charged to the account as well at the time it's all. And then when the property is sold, we've tried to ask Travis about being good about getting us an itemized bill so we can track expenses and also have it tied in when that property is sold. It's absorbed in that sale and in that account. So.
And when we advertise like these were, I think it's 3 properties besides the Educated and Bowl, we could advertise all 3 in one advertisement, could we not?
I believe you can. That service by publication would be referenced for the particular parcel in your, paper of circulation there, if you will. So that would, that's a way of sharing expenses. And
It would help cut the expense.
Now this one is 0.25 acres. Thomas L. Jones.
yes. Mhm.
We've got it evaluated at $12,124. We probably already got $3,000 or $4,000 attorney fees on it. I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure it's fairly significant. A property like this, to put it on the market, we're going to accumulate more cost. Are there any options for this as far as can we?
Yeah, oddly enough, that's one of the accounts we tried some recent contact with that taxpayer because it is unique. It's got an abandoned single-wide mobile home on a portion of that lot that extends into the next lot because the lot is so very tiny, if you will, as well as a tenant house that absorbs a northern portion of that lot too. That is when we try to make some contact because, with that account. So. Now, that's the board's decision. I've kind of, like you said, the ones that we had to advertise, that was not on that list for that reason. I think the ones that we're going to advertise, we might have the best response, that one and the other parcel. Like you said, you end up involving more money than the parcel may be valued at or may, ultimately get out. So actually, I withdrew that. That's in bold to not advertise that parcel as of yet. Even though we're well into over a good portion of delinquent taxes owed, I'll say, on that account. So.
Yeah, to try to cut losses. I don't know if you're going to get anything for that because it may end up no sale on the county books. I think we have a few of those properties around the county now.
You're right.
Give some thought on what the options are, from moving forward with this tiny parcel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say for that one personally, we don't advertise that one yet. The others, I'm on board, you know, with the few remaining, that would give us to advertise, for, let's see, so, yeah, the 3 additional accounts, even the very small.
We were not going to use the ones in bold, we were not going to advertise.
That's right, yes, ma'am, yes.
There's a chart at the front. Do we need a motion?
Yes, that would probably be appropriate, and I could make contact with Mr. Ellis and.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to proceed with those 3 properties that are not in bold type that the tax collector administrator has recommended that we continue the process.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, the motion before us is to proceed to try to collect from these 3 delinquent properties.
In foreclosure.
And moving to foreclosure.
Yes. Mhm.
The 3 that are not in bold.
The 2
Yeah, no, the 2 of them, the bold are not eliminated. They're not going to be advertised.
right, the 2 properties.
There's 3, there are 3 not in bold.
Do we need, is there any need to include the application of the attorney fees to that foreclosure?
What, in the motion?
In the motion?
Yes, I would say including those, and they, you know, keep in mind, much like the advertising fees will be charged to that account. So when the property is sold and, you know, those fees are generated, whether it be advertising or legal, they are tied in with the account.
In that general statute.
Yeah, that's common procedure. The LS follows that same process as well, so.
So we'll be clear also. Let's take the one property, let's look at the last one just for the sake of discussion. We've got a delinquent tax of $375, $375. Let's say the attorney fees is $2,000 currently. All right, the minimum bid would start at $2,300. Now, what's owed on it from the delinquent tax standpoint, what the attorney fee will be, that would be our minimum bid that we would set.
Mhm.
And then anything, if it's bid higher, so that property's going to go probably at minimum, whatever the attorney fee is in the delinquent tax.
Mhm.
And I think the general statute might also allow us to add some administrative costs
To that, yeah, to incorporate with the bill, yes.
as well. All right. I want to be clear on that, is what we're going to, have as a bottom line, start bidding, and then, it'll go from there, whoever's interested.
Okay.
So I have a question now.
Okay.
That's going to be so we're talking about foreclosure, for example, on the courthouse steps. And to Mr. Jordan's comments, let's say the total is $2,375, but there's no $2,375 bid. Is it an absolute sale? Meaning if somebody walks up and bids $1,800?
Yeah, I believe there's some provisions that the county would not, have to absorb that sale or accept it, if you will. I think there is some, and all that, the technical stipulations going with that, I'm not as sure about, but I believe the county can refute, anything below that.
I don't know when the bank has a lien on the property and it's sold on the courthouse steps. Whatever is owed on it, a bank representative shows up and bids that amount.
Mhm. Yeah, if it's $66,000 and some change, that bank, much like this, the county would have an interest in, like, Chairman Jordan mentioned, we have all these costs involved, advertising, legal fees. We would not want to go, the county would in essence own a property that might be one undesirable, unmarketable, and then the county would, be considered owning that property. So there's some.
But you see, it's possible that nobody shows up to bid on the property.
It is.
So we're not going to have any bid. So And I don't expect you necessarily to know all those.
Right, the legal
activities and everything.
stipulations,
But it would, I would like to know, I'm saying go forward, I'm going to vote to go forward.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, it would be nice if you could find out if there's going to be an absolute auction.
Right.
What if there's no bid or whatever, if you could have, maybe have to share that with the county manager, let her send us an email.
I will.
Next time, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay.
And also kind of piggyback on what Jack was saying. You know, in the past, we've advocated making sure that we have visible, large signs on the property pointing to it, foreclosure sale, date of the sale.
Connecting road signs.
Exactly, yes, pointing to it, so that we will draw some competitive bidding. Because if we just put it in the paper many times, they'll read it and forget it, or, not necessarily really interested. But if we've got visible road signs and on the property, that seems to help a lot more.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, absolutely, notifying the adjacent landowners as well. And I've got, you may have noticed, in the tax office, is very large, cumbersome, need a welder or something to kind of help me with those, but we can get those in place. I think, the tax office had those in place for staying visible, and they're sturdy, and getting that exposure out there, because it's nothing like putting it in the paper and not having that, like you said, that time, and the public knows about it. So, yeah, that's a good idea
I
as
think
well.
in the past, I see Timmy over there, I think Timmy's part of the county helped out in the past. Have you done some help out on putting those signs up at his house?
Bristol.
Bristol.
My department.
Oh, okay, Bristol.
Got a little so thrilled, Bristol. Okay, the motion on the floor is to proceed to foreclosure on the 3 properties that were not enrolled, and of course, we'll follow general statutes by adding attorney's fees and publication fees and all that. Okay? Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? And you will get with Ms. Roundtree.
Yes, I sure will, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, all right.
Okay, Sandy? Ms. Pittman?
You all have your reports. Do you have any questions? No, it's later.
Okay. Moving on, anything is personnel?
The report you have is from February. Do you have any questions?
Any of the departments, reports, does anyone want to speak for that department? We have some items under new business regarding departments.
I had one for the water department on page 130. We had listed 101 lockouts and reconnects. You see that? Is that like 50 events? Like I know it's just true activity, but like you lock one out and then you go back and.
If every lockout, there's theoretically a reconnect, but that's through customer service. I'm just adding it into this report, just so you'll have those numbers.
Okay.
I started before everything split, and I've just kept up with pulling those numbers from customer service and adding it to my report.
Okay, all right.
Okay, moving along, articles of interest. I don't believe there's any in our package at this time. County calendar, make sure you add the Board of Education meeting on the 20th and the rebound on the 20th as well. Okay, you do have a question.
For the water department, I do have a question. On the sewer, we have camera and smoke tests have been scheduled for March to identify the point of infiltration. Have we had any positive results on that?
we did have those done, NC Rule Order come and actually done those tests for us for free. His camera was a push camera, so we were limited to about 100 foot from each manhole. We narrowed it down to 22 manholes. We also went to the clean outs for the assisted living facility and the state employees credit union and camera to the collection main, and there were no leaks that we could see through those services. And don't ask me why, but something happened this past week and the additional flow stopped. So now we're back on track. So I'm going to keep an eye on it on the next huge rain event and see if flow picks back up to where it was. I don't know. It wasn't coming from the state employees credit union leaving water from winter months and cold nights running it. There was no water turned on to the assisted living facility. I placed those meters in line, but it's still not turned on for service, because I don't think they have finished and had their final inspection on their fire suppression system.
What about the caps on the manhole?
They were sealed. The only places we got smoke come out of the manhole covers during the smoke test were the ones that we had pulled the bolts and had popped the manholes and placed them back down without sealing. That's the only place smoke showed. The sewer vent in the credit union and all the sewer vents on the assisted living facility were smoking by the time we were done.
Hopefully it'll hold up.
So I'm going to give it a few more weeks, and next huge rain event, go back and check it one more time, and if I see it's picked back up, I'm going to have to contract the crew to come in with a remote control camera to check that additional 150 foot that we couldn't reach with the push camera.
Thank you, Mr. Hedgecock. Okay, moving on to old business, update on fire inspection fees.
Spoke to Karen Malonzi at the School of Government, and she recommended that all fees, not just fire inspection fees, be in an ordinance. So my recommendation is that we review all the fees, and when we do the public hearing for the budget, we also have a public hearing for the fee schedule as well. So that way, as of July 1st, all fees will be in a fee schedule ordinance, and they will all be effective officially in an ordinance from the date that it's approved. Everyone will have a copy of the fee schedules once they're approved in all departments.
Okay, and that we would put all of these, whether they're fire inspection, the building fees, all those.
Well, they would be in an ordinance, but there would still be ones for fire inspection, permitting would still have theirs, and zoning would still, and planning would still have theirs, as well as the water fees. But they would all be in the ordinance.
Aye.
And that would be subsection, right, for how you do this.
For each department, correct.
And I think the issue was enforcement. Some of them, like your inspection fees, permitting it, they don't pay it, they don't get it. So we have control over that, but others, we have to legally enforce collection procedures to the court. But I would like to, for them to be brought to the board, to let us review them before we advertise the public hearing, agree that all of these are what we were looking for into an ordinance.
Along with that, if we could get a list of those that are required by state mandate or general statute or whatever, and not just a wish list, so to speak. Those specific things that are due for inspection.
Now, according to Karen Malonzi, she said she does know that those fire inspection fees, they are not in general statute, but they are in state code. And the majority, from what she said, she couldn't speak for all municipalities or counties because they've all not brought for this question, she said, but she does know that they are enforced. Even though they're not in general statute, they are in code, and they do have ranges that you can charge and implement for not following whatever, if the doors are locked or if your lights are out, there's a range and you can charge anywhere within that range.
Is there liability back to us as a county if we don't?
If we don't,
If we don't enforce that, you know, such as doors locked and or doors are locked and civilians or vendors can't get out.
what I understand, I believe it would go back to the fire inspector, but I will, same as with the building inspections, but I will double check.
Which ultimately comes down to us.
While we're refining this, now, one of the concerns that I had was some of the comments about the time frame to get something corrected. And I believe Perry, you spoke to that when he was in here. You know, if you needed something, it's not available, you know, right here, and then you may have to order it, might have to be shipped. And I think the time frame that we were here was like 5 days. I thought that was a little quick.
And I'll see if the code book addresses that.
Okay, so if you'll get us a report of that so that we can study and look over all of it. I think that's what we would like before we advertise for a public hearing. Okay, anything else in the old business? Move to the new business we need to RFP for auditors discussion. Is that you, Mrs. Pittman?
Yes, it's really just a discussion. I know it was mentioned last year, and we were not able to do it in the fall. It's really a process that we need to do in the fall to make sure that we give it to whatever firm we hire time to get in and do interim. They don't come in just in July, do the audit and leave. It's a process through the year. So we have talked with Martin Starnes, and we would like to keep them on for this year. They've got the interim schedule. They've already been working with us through the year. And then about August or September, put the RFP out and start working through some proposals from other companies and decide whether we want to make a change or stay with Martin Starnes and try to figure out what's in our best interest. I know there was some concern about using the same firm year after year, but we are on our fourth, I believe, team that we've worked with. So we don't have the same people that are coming in every single year doing the audit. We have different groups that come in. I think we had the same team 2 years in a row, and that's been the only time that we've had that. So we have a different group of people every year. There are fresh eyes and, you know, fresh opinions every year. So even though it's the same firm, it is a different team that does our audit. So we'll come back probably in the fall and request that, you know, you all give us authorization to put that out for bid, and we'll work through that process after this fiscal year.
Okay. This is about finding an audit firm to do our books. Okay, so we can expect to see you again in August?
Yes, and we'll have the contract. I believe they have emailed me the contract for this fiscal year, and I'll get that to you probably in May, so we can get that approved and get that moving. But as far as, you know, deciding what to do for next fiscal year, we'll start that process early next fiscal year.
Thank you. Okay, I think our planner is here for the presentation of official zoning map.
One thing I was tasked with when I began working here was to update the zoning map and finally got it done. There was some delay due to the fact some of the rezonings that we had did not have parcel numbers. So I had to track down the parcel numbers and the owner and the location and different things. So finally got it done. Had to actually create the layer, and this is being done completely in-house. This isn't through our GIS vendor, so I had to build the zoning layer from scratch. And this is our updated map with all the rezonings that have taken place since 2007, because most of them were already done. So this represents at least from 2007 to current.
You got that? Could I ask, you got two shades of blue? Can you just tell us what the blue represents?
Okay, the light blue, which is here, that's the R1 district, the residential district. The darker blue is residential multifamily. And the one to the bottom, the more purple, dark purple color, is for residential mobile homes.
Jennifer, just put on the web.
I have contacted our online vendor and sent them a listing of all the rezonings to have it updated on the website. I contacted them in February and submitted all of those to them. I got an email from them today because it had not been done, that they were going to do it. They were waiting for some information from the tax department, but since I contacted them this morning, they decided that they're going to go ahead on and update it as soon as possible.
So the blue lines they outline each parcel.
These gray lines, light gray lines, yeah, that's each parcel.
Okay, and of course it's a little bit far away from us.
I was going to ask if we could have this debate in a closed session after the meeting, so we could provide a look at it before we start closed session.
It looks like that the parcels that are outlined, I know we've got more R1 parcels. Okay.
And I can bring the old map in, if you compare them, but yeah, this is,
That's basically it. Everything else is,
everything that's in white is agricultural.
We've got houses on those, 8 ones that work.
like, as I look down Zion Road, I know numerous houses there, but they're not zoned R1.
No, ag.
Majority of houses are.
I thought that ordinance said that we had to have R1 designation.
You could have houses in the A1.
If I may, I live on this road. There are numerous houses on this road. If you'll notice, the status are
A1.
Houses aren't, stick-built homes aren't allowed in the office and institutional, commercial and industrial. But you can have a stick-built home in the A1, the R1, and the only place you can have for a mobile home, it has to either be zoned RMH or it can be done by special use permit in agricultural.
But in approving the official zoning map, are we approving just as things are, or are we
Yes,
basically validating or verifying that this is in compliance with our zoning ordinance?
Realistically, every time a rezoning is done, a new map is supposed to be produced to represent that change. It had not been done in quite a while. I think the last zoning map that I had in the office, it was 2006 or 2007, somewhere within that time frame. So this just represents all the rezonings that have been approved by you guys since the last map was signed.
But it includes what had been done previously,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
just updated.
Yes, ma'am. It's just an updated map.
Okay, and we need to approve that as our official zoning map.
Well, the rezonings are already approved when y'all vote on them. So I just wanted to bring it in for y'all to see and look over if y'all had any questions. But it's ready to be signed and everything.
And we can get it on our
So we can see what we
GPS,
got.
that'd be great.
Now, this is an ordinance, and I believe whenever we update the ordinance, it calls for another public hearing.
Well, the public hearing is handled when the rezoning is done. Like each rezoning,
This
that
is
was,
just the-
yeah, this is just the.
So you just put what we've already approved on paper.
Yes,
It's already done.
yes. But this is, the paper version, the pictorial version is required by general statute. So that's why we have to have it. The public hearing is handled when the case is presented.
This will be on the web very quickly, very soon.
Yeah, when I talked to him today, when I emailed him today to find out why it had not been updated online, he stated that he was waiting for some information from the tax department, but he was just gonna go ahead on and do it without the information from the tax department.
Now, when a person, when it's ownership change, I don't know, why would the tax department, why is the tax department involved in it?
In terms for the rezoning,
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't see the connection.
Yeah, and I spoke to Kathy after I got the email, and I'm not sure.
Well, it may have to do with, the partial lines, the amount of what, land is involved, whatever. But basically, that's where, they're the ones that basically set the tax based on what the property size is.
But when we rezone, we know the property size.
Or would that be a checks and balances for what we've done in retrospective tax office?
Well, I don't, I don't send rezoning information to the tax department.
It's probably just something in his database. It's probably just some missing components, probably might be the same thing on every parcel that he needs. I mean,
I'm not 100% sure. But the zoning layer in our online GIS is completely separate from the base parcel information.
That's what I was saying, because, we have overlays. You have the one that has the tax, the tax one. You have, and this is an overlay. It's completely separate, but I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
Same now. Just color code. Okay, I hope that he will be a little bit quicker in responding to changes so that we can keep up to date. Because I know for people, attorneys and everyone else, they need the most up-to-date information they can find. Thank you for that. Okay? And that will be in your office, I'll send them out.
Yeah, once it's signed, it goes on public display in the office, as the official map.
And they're gonna scan it and get it on the website.
Well, I've already sent the information, the, parcel numbers with the, it was this zoning, going to this zoning information to them. They maintain their own database. Since I have GIS on my laptop, I maintain a separate database from theirs.
Excuse me, or are you asking if an actual photo, so to speak, of that map is going to be on there?
That's what I meant, right.
Oh, on the county website?
I think that's what he's asking. Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. We can, I did convert it from a GIS map to a JPEG, picture map, so I can send it, to Melissa and have it added to the county website.
I think it needs to be available to all the county officials.
And I can say I have had requests from surveyors and lawyers requesting a copy of the zoning map, and have actually printed a couple in the office and given to individuals to take.
That size?
Not this size.
My next question will be, what did you charge?
No, I got that. Billy Will was kind enough to print this one for me, so, because I don't have the machine, a printer to print this size. Most of the surveyors and attorneys would like this size, but I don't have it, since I don't have it.
About putting it on our website, the size of this file is huge, isn't it?
Well, I can shrink it down to, it would just be a matter of formatting it to 11 by 17 page, and then converting it over to another JPEG file, another picture file, and sending it to Melissa. That's what.
And it won't be an interactive picture though, so you couldn't click on one of those red spots to get the information, if that's what you were wanting.
Well, I think we should be able to blow it up a little bit so that you can actually see.
That's good.
Well,
Individual parcels would be good, but if we can't see that, then we really, it's kind of defeat the purpose. So,
well, as a JPEG, you can click on it, and it'll show as a picture, and then you can zoom into different areas.
But what I'm saying is that they won't be able to
Yeah.
click on it and get the information.
The parcel information.
that would be perfectly fine.
Sometimes it's frustrating that when you have something shrunk and you enlarge it and then try to find a place you want, but anyway, I've wasted a lot of time doing that. Okay. I believe you're up still. We have some appointments to the Board of Adjustments.
We need a motion to authorize you to sign that.
Okay, I guess, because I had to sign it.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to authorize the chair and clerk to sign the official zoning map?
So moved.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We'll sign it afterwards.
Okay, do you still want me to bring in the one that I pulled the information, the last one that we had?
We can try to, for comparisons.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Okay, now we go to the Board of Adjustments and Planning appointments.
Really, we can hold off on the appointments and reappointments. I really wanted to discuss a couple of things with you guys prior to. What I did was I took some information based on what I could find in the minutes from the county commissioners meeting to determine the planning board members and how their terms lay out. And if you look at the third page, I'll start with the planning board. The third page gives a breakdown.
It's not a third page.
This one right here.
Okay.
It's attached to your Board of Adjustment. And it's what's in your Your folder is
Oh, yeah, the planning board one was, given to you guys. I just printed the board of adjustment one. I apologize. With the planning board, you see who's coming on from in and how many terms they have served. And one question that I had, the county ordinance is mute to the planning, any regulations for planning board membership, in terms of how many terms they can serve, how long the terms are, etc. And how the membership is broken down. We have two choices. We can either determine planning board membership by townships or by voting districts. Whichever one you guys want to use. If you look at the one by townships, you can see where each member lives and what township they would represent. Or if we use it by voting districts, is the same, but same as the townships, but just by voting districts. We can see how everybody lays out and what, what they represent, which voting district they represent. So however you guys want to do it, like I said, the ordinance does not specify how to lay out the memberships of the board, for the planning board or the board of adjustments.
I think traditionally, it has been that we try to be geographically diverse, not have everybody in one area of the county. It might not be a written rule, but I think that was the intent. I mean, it was tried to, just make sure everybody, all the stakeholders in the county, all of their areas of the county were represented.
We asked the county manager's office to see if they can find the minutes where they implemented those term limits. Again, have any success with that?
I'll be honest, I don't remember that request, but we've not seen, I've gone through numerous minutes for other issues lately, and I've not seen any reference to planning board in any of those that I've gone through.
Yeah, we followed that for a number of years, the two-term limit implemented. I don't know if it was commissioner's minutes or what it was planning board minutes, but it was implemented a number of years back. And it was not, as you say, it's not in ordinance, but it was something that's been done in the past, consistently after the two terms, and that was basically a rotation out. But it is written somewhere.
Do you have any idea about how long to go for the planning board? Because I know that many minutes have been gone through the planning board as well, and they've not been found.
It was prior, I would say, I know it was prior to 2008. I came on the board in 2008. I know one of the first tasks at that time was rotating out the members.
Okay, I know I've not.
Re-Riddick was one of those that was affected at that time. And I don't know about the planning board driven or whether or not, I know it was not the ordinance, but that's what was done in the past. So, we're going to do the method, and probably we make sure what's out there, we address that. And I don't think we would have been doing it with just based on the fact that, that was something the board wanted to do. It's done because something was written and implemented. So if you take a look at the minutes, I would say it's prior, I know it's prior to 2008.
Okay.
It's not in the commissioner's minutes prior to that.
Okay, I'll take a look and see, the last time because that's where I got the information from about each person's term. I actually had to go through all the minutes, and it was one of those days when it had snowed. So I was home, and I just did found out when everybody came on, and when they were reappointed, and any other information that was available through the minutes, and got it together to present to, so that we can try to figure out. It is the goal, it is my goal, and it's something that really needs to happen, to write up something and have it adopted into the ordinance for the planning board, stating the length of an appointment, any term limits, anything of that nature, so that from this point forward, that we're being consistent with how membership on the planning board is handled. We do have something in the ordinance for the Board of Adjustment. We just don't have anything in the ordinance concerning the planning board.
And what is it for the Board of Adjustment?
For Board of Adjustment, it is a 3, it is a 3-year term, but it does not say how many terms they can serve.
What's the document that you're looking at?
This is the zoning ordinance. This is section 13 of the
Section
zoning
13.
ordinance. Section 13.01.
And saying that ordinance was passed at what time frame?
I think this was, March 5th, 2007.
By chance, did it say revised? Just curious.
No, it's just duly adopted by the Gates County Board of Commissioners on March 5th, 2007. I did add the last update that I did on January 7th, 2015.
I was on the planning board, and I got elected the first time in 2006, I believe it was. Randy Calhoun was the planning director at that time. And Rita Lane and I came on at the same time, because it was 2006, then we'll report in 2009. And my recollection was that we were told this, you do it, you get reappointed, but you could serve 2 terms. But I don't know if that was official or they were trying to, rotate. I don't know what it was, but you might want to look. If there's anything in writing, it would have to be from 2-7, maybe 2-6.
So the planning board has been 3 years too, Madam Chairman, as Board of Adjustment that Ms. Baptiste mentioned.
Yes, it's 3 years.
2 terms.
But I don't know,
In some of the minutes from, that I looked at for the county commissioners, it did state that the term would run from this date to this date. So I just was going on the 3-year cycle, for everybody else. Because not all the appointments had a expiration date in the minutes.
And that was Friday, that there was an assumption, and sometimes we shouldn't assume. Okay, so what is your recommendation to the board about appointments?
Well, really, I just wanted to give you guys an update and let you know. We do have some appointments for the planning board that are expiring. We have 3 that are expiring at the end of May. We have Chuck Brothers, Brenda Felton, and Wade Askew that are expiring at the end of May. And since we don't have anything in the ordinance to really go by to say who can be reappointed and not, just wanted to get like a little bit of guidance on how you guys wanted to handle the reappointments. And just see, because I have amended the ad that I messed up terribly and was advertised and submitted it to Melissa to have it rerun. So, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of information to see how the board broke down and who was on and what term they were in, whether it was their first term, second term, and see how you guys want to handle it, just so y'all can have the best knowledge going forward when we do the appointments next month.
Yes, ma'am, after your analysis, are there any recommendations that you can?
No, I don't. What I can say is that, the board serves at the pleasure of the county commissioners. If you guys want to do, stick with the two-term limit, that's your decision, that's fine. If y'all want to do 3rd terms, that's fine as well. Even though somebody has already served 1 term, there's nothing written to say that they have to serve a 2nd term. It's up to the county commissioners to determine whether y'all want to keep somebody on for the 2nd term.
Would they reapply in that situation?
We have had some reapplications. I know that Ms. Felton and Mr. Askew have reapplied to serve another term on the board, and that is something else that we're going to start getting into, that when an individual's term is up, that they actually submit an application to reapply. And I'd like to thank Melissa, because she was the one that suggested and said that's something we probably should get into doing. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. So that is something that we're going to get into. It had not been done prior to, but we're gonna try to make things a little more official and be consistent across the board.
I noticed that the former Commissioner Jernigan on the Board of Adjustment, is that 1 year? Did I see that? Was that a request or?
Well, I have not spoken with him to see if he wants to reapply for the board. But when he was appointed at the end of October, at the October meeting, in the minutes they had it written that he was to serve a 6-month term. So his 6 months would be up at the end of it.
He was completing someone's term that came off, I believe that was.
And that's what the 6 months came from.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was.
Mr. Hawkins,
It was not specific to the person that he was completing. It just said to fill an unfilled seat, to complete a vacancy or something. No, Mr. Harrell was on the planning. No, I'm sorry, yeah, Board of Adjustment. But no, he was still on there when Mr. Jernigan was appointed.
I think it was a completed unfilled term.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're we need to have the best information what has set the trend for what the commissioners do. And certainly if there's going to be some changes, we need to get some history on why it was initially done that way. And because we don't want to do something that was put in place for a specific reason and had some specific justification. So, you know, that is what we basically adhere to until we can see what that needs to be.
And that's fine, I agree. I can go through the minutes again to try to see, because it may be something that was adopted that just never got put into the ordinance. I can try to see if it was an amendment that had been done, that just had never been recorded in the ordinance.
So, you'll get us that information by April meeting,
Yes, I will do my best. If
Well, the
it-
first
I
meeting in
will.
May, they still can be appointed and serve and go ahead and, because they meet after us. They meet the third week, so if we did it the first meeting, it would not be a problem. Okay, it's very clear about the number of people, the slots open on the planning board. How many slots are open on the Board of Adjustments?
The Board of Adjustment has 5 regular members and 2 alternates.
Okay, so, in the advertisement, you're advertising, so there's 5 regular and 2 alternates. So, on this list that I have in front of me, are all these current regular members?
From what I could determine from the minutes, yes.
So we're looking for 2 alternates?
Yes.
And they vote, if you have a meeting, some of the regulars don't show up, they step in to vote.
Yes.
So the alternates need to attend the meetings as well.
Yes.
We do not have any alternates at this time.
Not that I could determine from the minutes.
We have 2 alternates. And do the alternates serve a 3-year term as well?
Yes.
I believe that Mr. Brothers may have something to add to that.
Let her finish her discussion on the Board of Adjustment. I got something I want to add that Jennifer and I discussed back on the planning board stuff after you finished your Board of Adjustment.
Okay, on the Board of Adjustment, on the Board of Adjustments, so you have not heard from Mr. Jernigan?
No, I have not spoken to him yet.
And do you then have any applications for alternates?
Yes.
Do we have 2 applications? And I believe in the advertisement, that was one for Mittensville.
Yes, we had, if you look at your map, you can see that we have just about every district represented
Except my district.
on each board, except Mittensville. For both boards, we don't have someone from Mittensville.
Is our application for Mittensville?
Yes, ma'am. And would y'all like to use the townships as the determining factor or voting districts?
Well, I think we're seeing that for the first time. I don't think I'd really want to make a decision on that as a board member today, on that part. I want to look at that. I'm glad you guys the layout so we can see how it affects anything. But I think I need to digest that a little bit more.
Okay.
And we do have time to table that until May, is that, Madam Chairman?
I think that's a consideration factor, the voting district, but I'd be a little bit apprehensive in making that a qualification factor in being able to serve, whether or not you fit that district or not.
The only thing I would have a problem with is if it was a cluster of one area of the county and all areas are not represented. I mean, because if you look, there could be, at one time, there were 3 from one area, and I don't think that's fair to the rest of the county.
Sure. And I agree with that, but I think we wouldn't want to box ourselves in a corner where, we can make the planning board ineffective because we don't have people to appoint and serve.
I agree with that.
The worst case scenario is that if the only people in one township applied, and we didn't get anyone else. So, but yeah, I agree we don't need representatives from one district or 2 districts. We need them all,
If possible.
if possible. Thank you.
Well, when we decide what the correct term is, and we do that research to find out that's when we're going to do revisions. Probably a good time to do revisions. Whatever you find or don't find. If you don't find anything, you've got to create something. And then we can address that, because I would say, we need bodies. We hope they would never all come from one area, but I would think that we would have something that said no more than 3.
Well, on a board that's 7, I wouldn't think you'd want 3 from one area.
I'm saying, but if we did have bodies.
I think you can find,
Well, I would think so too.
I have hard pressed to vote for 3 from a second, from one district.
Like it was.
I mean.
At one time.
At one time. That's my first opinion. Okay, do I hear a motion to table this until, or to table the appointments until we have more information?
So, yes, ma'am, I'll make that motion. Do we do table this until, is it May? Do we draw it till May?
First meeting.
And if you could get us that information prior.
I will look and hopefully it's there. If not, I'll let you know. There.
Well, no information.
We got old Randy Cahoon from the zoning factor.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. The issue, it's tabled the issue of our appointments to planning board and the board of adjustments until the May meeting, awaiting additional information from our planning director.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, do you want this discussion? Do we want to, before we vote, hear from Mr. Rose?
Mr. Rose, do you still want to put?
Yeah.
Even though we table?
Well, I want to make sure y'all have all the facts. I'm Chuck Brothers, chairman of the planning board, and I wanted y'all to know what our planner has done. And this all goes back into our joint meeting that we had that I think the majority attended when we had about 2 months ago. This is the second such event that I know that our planner and staff has had to go back and search minutes to find out what is the procedures or what happened, when it happened. We're talking about going back 10 years now to look to see what happened. This reiterates the fact that our ambiguity and the lack of proper information in our zoning and subdivision ordinance is not accurate and incomplete. This only reinforces why we need to empower her through her budget process that y'all would embrace to get our zoning and subdivision ordinance up to date. We've got information in our zoning ordinance that empowers the administration section and details what the Board of Adjustments duties are. There is absolutely, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is absolutely no stated procedures that are given to a planning board member when they take that position. I was never given anything on either term. We have no standard operating procedures. We have no guideline that for her or her predecessor to follow. So this only reinforces why we need to come up to date on that discussion that we had to get these things going. Now, in regards to the terms and what's going on, I'm like Chair Hoffler. It was 3 years. You could be reappointed to your second year or your second term for 3 years. Then you could lay out for 12 months and then you could be reappointed. That's never been in print, and I'm of the analysis that if it ain't in writing, it didn't happen. And unless somebody can go back and prove it, all we're going on now is hearsay. I know she has diligently tried to find that information. She called me asking me did I know where it was at, and I searched my information. I talked to Mr. Green a couple of times. We've been unable to find any documentation that shows that particular structure. So it's time, this is 2015, it's time to get something done that didn't happen from 2007. We're flying by the seat of our pants. And it's not fair to her to spend her time or Melissa's time or Natalie's time to go back and search minutes that somebody didn't accurately correlate years back. If it's in the ordinance, that should be, it should be the Bible. That's like Joe said, if it's in that book, that's what we've got to follow. It's not in the book. It needs to be in the book.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I will say that the North Carolina General Statute, for some reason, General Statute 243 comes to mind. I mean, that may not be right, but it outlines the duties and responsibilities of the planning board. I believe there's the General Statute pretty much lays it out. And I think we probably need to take a look at that as well and see what is in there. That basically gives everything for the planning board. It's general statute driven. We as a county have to have that planning board, but it outlines those duties and things that that planning board is supposed to carry out.
I believe Mr. Green.
I'm Joe Green. I'm the chairman of the Board of Adjustment. And when I came on the planning board, I was on the same time with Linda. I came on with Randy Cahoon. And at the time, I was told it was a 3-year term, and when my 3-year term expired, I was asked to, I had to fill out an application to reapply. And it seems like there is a lot of confusion, and I would like to just make a recommendation that we continue the 3-year term with the option of going to another term. It's been in place for 10 years or more since Linda and I have been on the board, and it seems to be working. And I think, if we all would see it that way, that we just put it in our ordinance of the book, then we would have no confusion from now on.
Yes, sir. I thank you for that, and following what Commissioner Jordan says, as long as that's within the guidelines as defined in general statutes. Because I did notice on here that for the Board of Adjustment, I believe Mr. Parrish was appointed, or says here, for 2 years, for a 2-year term.
I think he was filling in for something.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he took over Kathy Bradmore from her unexpired term.
And when we do that, we need to make sure that we put it in who are they replacing and what the term is. It's just a abbreviated term, not a full term.
It's a good idea.
Okay, the motion is on the floor to table this until we get additional information from our planning director. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. So we'll wait here for you. And thank you for your due diligence in researching. Okay, Commissioner's appointment to the Juvenile Crime Prevention Committee. I believe we have to have a commissioner appointed. It currently is Jack Owens, our commissioner, and I believe he has indicated he's willing to continue in that position.
I spoke with Ms. Bradley earlier today when she was here, and we both agreed that I would continue to.
Okay. I need to entertain a motion to appoint.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Congratulations, you've been reappointed. I know. Just think what we think of you, Jack.
Thank you. We'll discuss it later.
Okay, I believe we have the approval of the GET System Safety Program Plan. I can always count on you for a lot of reading.
Actually, the plan updates, and changes, and emails. Each year, during the year, we look at the system safety program plan and any things that are not working out or that change from guidelines from FTA or from the state bid that we bring about change updates to you. And also this time we have gone through a system safety audit. And so these things are some of the things that needed to be added from their suggestions. And the first one is the pre-post trip inspection worksheet. One of the things that we do is we have to inspect the vehicle before going and when we come back. And we've been inspecting the hatch, the emergency hatches, but not the emergency windows. So we need to add emergency windows to the pre-post inspection worksheet. And that's page 83. And then it's on page 56, we wanted to add for a name potential work site or program hazard identifications on that page. And then under where it says hazard identification, add work site or service area. Add service area to that. And then on page 91, on the security incident reporting form, we wanted to add one of the things that they can report is a hazard, and then a description of incident/hazard. Okay, and then this is not part of the system safety plan, but it's one of the policies for GETS. It's GETS policy and procedure section 17, and it was on the child restraint systems. We wanted to revise to add a child seat cleaning procedure. And then also GETS policy and procedure section, which is the complaint policy. The attached form, the service excellence form, is modified also to include it to have to add safety hazard or security hazard. And then for the GETS emergency escape procedure and escape route, to add that we will go across the street to Gatesville Elementary until we've been given the approval to go back in the building if we had any issues that we had to evacuate in an emergency.
Okay, so that's the changes in the, your safety program.
And also policy and procedures.
Okay, so we need to entertain a motion to approve the changes in the GET System Safety Program Plan and the, what was it all?
Policy and procedures.
Policy manual. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, ma'am, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would like to add, if I could, just because we're all here, we're all facing the most recent dilemma involving aircraft. Are there provisions as far as HIPAA requirements that you have an opportunity to look at the drivers to see if they've had any recent medical issues or mental issues?
Currently, we do not. The only physical forms are for CDL drivers, and not all drivers are CDLs. They go back and forth, but we don't. We talked about a few years ago having an annual physical for the persons, but we never got that approved or anything.
That's a good question.
Would it be appropriate to either have someone on your staff or yourself talk with those drivers and see if they've had any difficulty with any mental issues or alcohol or drug related?
And like alcohol and drugs, now that's a different thing, because we do have an alcohol and drug policy plan, and that's random. So that, you know, we have no zero tolerance for alcohol and drugs, but for mental health or medical, that's a different issue.
I think we want to tread that very carefully.
Yeah.
I mean, you could administer, I guess, add a policy that we have to let them have annual physicals or pass some kind of physical.
But if we do background checks, the background checks look at all criminal records.
And the background check is only done when they're initially hired.
So that could be 10 years old or whatever.
Let's get this motion that we have on the floor, and vote on that. The motion is like the approval of the GETS safety program plan and policy. We have had a motion made and seconded. Any discussion on that part? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. You have something else too?
Yes, a grant application. Actually, this is a grant that we had, it actually has ended now. We originally got it for the fiscal year of 13-14, but because we were late getting started, I think that was the year that what we had the government change, what was it called? Sequestration. And so we didn't get that started till midway half the year, so we got it extended and it ended in December. Well, they have funds, this actual program has dried up, but they had funds left, and my consultant called and asked if we would continue the program and take the funds, and, you know, I agreed that I thought we would, but in order to go forth with it, they'd have to have a letter from you all stating that we do want to do that, and that we will continue to have the matching funds.
And what are the matching funds?
Well, the matching funds actually come from the road program that we have now, and for some of the fairs for the programs where we charge community action program, which is WIA, or for services for the blind, or for voc rehab, or there's also some employment transportation dollars there, and workforce transportation, because it's for job access versus community grant. So.
And how much was it grant for?
41,712.
Now, on page 162, one of 8 of 162, that grant, it says the local matching is $20,856 of that.
Yes.
Now, are you saying that the fairs collected and the other types of funds that come from the various programs would take care of that without having the county to provide actual dollars?
Yeah, no, the county would have actual dollars. There are actually dollars that we already have in the program.
And so what were those dollars, the road dollars, what were they going to be used for?
Well, actually, road has 3 different funding sources encompassing it. One of them is elderly and disabled transportation assistance dollars. And so if there was an elderly person that was going and didn't meet other qualifications, you can use some of those money. RGP, which is Rural General Public, anybody can, ride with that, and the fares that they have. That money is actually, so if someone was going to work and was paying anyway, we could use some of the RGP money or whatever. But we have contracts with us to take some people to work sites. So those funds, when we bill them, so we bill them a fee, $79.75. That may not cover the service. So then we would get the rest of the funds from the program. So that's the kind of match that we do.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, ma'am, I'll make a motion.
Okay, to
To
apply.
amend that budget.
Do I hear a second?
I'm seconding that.
Okay. Motion's been made and properly seconded in discussion.
Would ask that the motion to approve this grant, that the local matching funds would come from current budget programs and fees. Spring, yes. I would feel these updated motion amended, and I would certainly second that.
Okay, so to include in the motion that come from current budgeted dollars.
Right, and fees collected from Vertical, the local match.
Can I say something? Okay, just in the letter, please don't put agency fares, because I was recently contacted from an auditor, and what they look at agency fares as if you gave me $5. Well, from the grant, that's subtracted from the grant actually, so that's not matching. It's actually, I guess, contracted service fees. That would be fine, just not agency fares.
Okay.
In our letter of.
Yeah, put in the letter that we are, yeah. Because we've been putting, for years, I guess each administration changes, they told us to put agency fares. That's how we say that we match all of the grant dollars. And recently I was contacted and asked, what kind of agency fares? Are we talking about $2 when you get on the bus or whatever? And if that's the case, then that's not an acceptable matching funds, because they subtract that from this grant. So it has to be like, I guess, service fares.
Okay,
Service fees.
so could we say in the letter, just ask for, that we have approved you applying for this, but in our minutes,
Yeah.
can we do it that way? In the motion, direct a letter of
I mean, fees
support
is
for
fine.
this application.
Support and approval.
Support and approval, is that okay?
That's fine.
Is that okay with the person who made the motion and second? Okay. A motion has been made to write a letter to approve and support to apply for this Job Access Reverse Commute Program grant application. And to be sent. Okay? All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Now, do we want to put a sidebar in our minutes to say that it comes from current?
No, I think the minutes should capture,
The discussion.
right,
That is,
motion. I guess, the concern would be that 8 months from now, we'll come back and go to the finance office and, hey, we need that number of dollars.
I got you.
Sandy she's already put that off. Your money.
I'm afraid to go to Sandy and ask her for any money anyway.
Okay,
Allow the office.
there is that, do you have anything else?
No, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about what he was asking
Oh,
about.
yeah. Is there, I don't know how that it would work. Is there any way where an employee who is having health issues and mental issues, could report, whether that's our honor system?
I don't know that they're allowed to, but during the process of contact with direct supervision, find out if they are having problems or if they have been evaluated somewhere. I think it would be just a prudent way to keep up with things that are going on within the own staff.
Well, certainly you know, it's small, you know all your drivers and all, I'm sure you could notice something, or some things like going on.
And, well, one of the things that if there are medications, that would kind of, you know, because with the random drug screenings or whatever, any medications that are supposed to have effects on the person's performance, they're supposed to be shared with us or whatever. And if they're out for any time, period of time, say if they were out for excessive days or whatever, when they come back, they have to bring back a note that says that they're fit for duty to drive and provide the service. So that's covered, but.
And that would be from any physician or
Yes.
psychologist or psychiatrist?
Mm-hmm.
Any type of
Any
any type of medication.
Yeah.
Privacy Act is going to prevent you from doing what you really want to do. I guess you just have to be alert.
Okay, thank you. And of course, anyone could report if they thought somebody was acting erratic to you.
Yes. The policy that we have now is like a fit for duty, and it's drugs and alcohol. FTA drug screenings are a little indifferent per se, because we can test for random drug screens. I don't choose; it's an electronic file or whatever. The only way that I could do anything is if it was a reasonable suspicion. Under FTA guidelines for reasonable suspicion on testing, it has to meet certain criteria, and I have to see it, or the supervisor has to see it, and I have to see it like when they're getting ready to perform a safety-sensitive function, when they're performing it, or right after. So, you know, prime example, one of the things that was used in the training is if I went to the local fair and I saw a driver getting high, I couldn't come back Monday and test them because they were not performing a safety-sensitive function or getting ready to do it when I.
Okay.
So they can call me, but it's really, I don't see the.
You don't see it, you can't act.
You could interview them. I mean, if you saw them there, you could bring them in your office. Or
Yes, I could bring them in my office and, you know, interview, share what was, and then I could observe them or whatever, and if I saw certain criteria that you look at, if I saw that, then I could send them for, at that time, or I could take them for that kind of screening.
And would that reasonable suspicion develop if they said, no, I have not smoked, or I have not drank? In other words, they didn't tell you the truth? Would that constitute reasonable suspicion?
That would be on you to say. I mean, if I tell you I'm not,
Yeah,
you have to accept that.
I mean.
Your position is,
Yeah.
you know, but one exception to the testing that you might want to just look into is that anything that you do blanket, and
Yeah.
you don't want to get into expenses, but if you had one person that you were concerned about, if you do blanket testing, you've covered yourself.
Well, actually, for FTA screenings, it's certain criteria, you know, that they do. Now, if the county, we did or if we wanted to do a second policy, we could test them, what they say, under your own authority. It would have to be a different type of test. It would be a federal motor carriers test then, and not a federal transit administration test. But FTA is what we test under now, and it's very extensive. It explains out what kind of things you can test and, you know, what they're testing for. But if we wanted to add an additional policy that we tested on our own authority and did a different test, then we could do that. But we couldn't use the existing FTA drug screen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hopefully, there will be no incident.
Yes, hopefully not. Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead, and the next one is the resolution in support of being added to North Carolina General Statute 153A -15. This is the one where 85 counties in North Carolina are already done, and we are one of the 15 that is not at this time. And it dates back to 1981. It's on page 170.
It's after that.
and it concerns about the consent of the Board of Commissioners necessary in certain counties before land may be condemned or acquired by, local government outside the county. Whereas some regions, a county might have a water system that is in another part or be part, have a landfill in another part of the county, another division, not in their own county. And this just is, I guess they're interested in having it consistent across the state. That we would have to approve, or
I just need to let Amber Harris know if we are right, and then we've included after the resolution that was passed by Moore County, because they were not part of the 85 counties. It's been adapted for Gates County, and that's included in your packet as well.
that's on page 172. If we want to be, they have introduced legislation to kind of go up.
I think it could possibly help in some situations. I think about the landfill. That's multi-county, and I'm not sure if they own the properties at convenience sites or whatever, but it would give the Board of Commissioners an opportunity to have, say, prior to this coming in. And,
To say, put it here.
yes, or taking it away, whatever. So I'm not opposed to it.
Well, I was just thought about, what was it, Virginia Beach a few years ago came to Lake Gaston.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That was outside state, do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion. That we adopt this resolution.
And I'll second that now.
A motion been made and properly second. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, and County Manager, we'll sign this and you can send it on. Okay. Okay, we're going to break it like 1 o'clock anyway, but anyway, go ahead. Moving to the Project Lazarus Regional Grant Proposal.
This is a grant proposal from the Health Department, and unfortunately, I was not able to attend some of the initial meetings. However, to focus on a couple of different issues, specifically dealing with prescription medication abuse, and mental health issues, sorry. If you look at, I think it's the third page, it's the one that says Project Lazarus. It has a hub, a wheel. They're focusing on public awareness, coalition action, and data evaluation. They're trying to make the public aware of some of these issues, as well as better educating not only teachers, sheriff's departments, police departments, and mental health providers, but they're also trying to reach out to other civic organizations to make everyone aware of all of these issues. They also have the following pages, the Community Coalition Development. They have the first 3 or 4 pages, they are grids that show the project funding areas that they wish to fund. And I'd like to highlight especially the first one, the medication drop box. That is something that actually I had been approached back in the fall by Glenda Parker about this. She wanted to know where was the location that they could put this drop box. And we discussed it, and then for a variety of reasons, the drop box has never been installed. But they are still interested in what this medication drop box would be. It's a drop box that only 2 people would have keys to. It would be located in a secure area with camera, and it would, I believe, if I remember correctly, location, you can have a camera, but would be accessible to the general public so that if you have any type of medication, not just prescription medication, that you would like to dispose of, you're asked to put that in that drop box. That way it's not disposed of in the water, because there's been tests that's proven that it does filtrate the water system and can create problems. And so it's not thrown in the trash can, more importantly, or so that it's not hopefully sold and redistributed throughout the community. But then once a month, the two that have the key would unlock it, they would take out, they would note what was in there, and then one of those two would drive it to Raleigh and turn it into a collection site. With this, there might be a collection site in Elizabeth City for all the counties, and then they would take it. I'm not sure about those details. But that is one of the things we would like to highlight. As you can see, the Sheriff's Department is very interested in many of the items that are outlined. As you can see also on the second, I believe it's your second page, the CIT is going to be in kind. Earlier you heard East Carolina Behavioral Health talk about that. And this is something where they would do more with crisis intervention. So I'm with the grids. Mine printed a little bit differently, so, or pulled up a little bit differently in format, so it might be on your third page. As you can see, they also want to provide provider education and coordination for pain management skills, review of hospital policy, signage, how to refer people to all of the different agencies in the community. Further down there, we want to do school education with contests, school counselor training, school nurse training, and curriculum, and they're including the faith-based community as well. Further down, they also will work with colleges and universities in the local areas through BLET, through the COA's RN program, CNA programs, as well as public awareness campaigns. So they're going to budget money to make sure that, as I said earlier, everyone is aware of what is taking place with this project and how it can benefit the community and where you can go if you need assistance. The last page of that document is actually a letter of support that they have asked for, and it was basically a form letter that they sent. They asked for it to come from the county manager, but I felt like it would hold a little more power and sway if it came from the Board of Commissioners. And it's basically asking for, stating that you support this project, the application, that you recognize the need for not only education about prescription use and abuse, but also a way to properly dispose of medications in a safe manner, and better treatment options are also needed. It also lists that we would be willing to work with and offer support for any of the agencies, and they are listed, that would be working within this program. And those programs include Healthy Care Lineage of the Albemarle, Gates Partners for Health, and the Three Rivers Healthy Care Lineage program. So those are all the agencies that are working together for this grant.
And so they're just asking for our endorsement.
Yes. Because they're going to go ahead and submit it anyway.
Just to strengthen the application.
And if we need a motion on that, I will certainly make that motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
Second.
And a motion's been made and seconded that we write a letter of support. Okay, discussion.
The lockbox, is that, do we have that?
No, it's not been implemented for a variety of reasons right now. But it's still, I think, ongoing discussion.
Any idea of what the county input percentage may be, or if any?
They've not sent us anything about that.
Cross that when we get to it.
Okay. Certainly, if we could do anything to get, any types of drugs out of the public domain would be helpful. You see where people abuse of prescription drugs so much.
Absolutely, prescription drugs to make meth, right?
Absolutely. The other thing is too, that many of the abusers follow folks who, some of our citizens and families that have been affected and have been under prescription drugs, and if they pass, they have an idea, the thieves have an idea that those drugs are in their house, and they'll break in.
Yeah, I know an incident where somebody's house was broken into. I'm looking for those prescriptions. Okay, a motion's been made and second that we write a letter in support of this grant proposal. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Okay, I believe that we have now to hear a budget amendment from the cooperative facility.
Good afternoon. We just have one budget amendment today, number 15. I think it's 14 in your packet. I apologize. I think there was some confusion when we did the number 14 at the night meeting a couple weeks ago. But Extension has received some additional SHIP grant money, and this is the budget to expend that money. And BJ is here in case you have any questions about the program. She could give you some more information about that. The budget amendment itself is pretty straightforward.
And of course, it says to be spent by June 30th, I don't imagine.
Actually not. These funds will go through September 30th, but we'll have to do a new budget amendment in July.
It's nice to have some money.
SHIP stands for?
Senior Health Insurance Information Plan, also known as Medicare Part D for the layman.
Why didn't they just put that?
I don't know, because they actually do a little more than that, but that's basically what they do.
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept this budget amendment.
Second. Okay, a motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed.
Thank you very much.
Lots of extension.
Do you have anything you'd like to say about extension?
No.
We'll let it pass for now.
Okay. I'm sure we'll get your budget.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What? Okay, number 15, the surplus water assets. This is a pickup truck.
Yes, ma'am.
F-250 extended cab, 4x4, 2001, has 152,000 miles on it, a little bit more than that. And right now, it needs $2,500 worth of...
No, ma'am.
No.
The spark plug blew, it's running on 7 cylinders. They said the spark plug needs to be retreaded, but because of that and how the vehicle runs in general, it's very rough riding, it's been recommended to surplus this truck.
Yeah, because it's 14 years old.
Do we have we don't have to replace it right away, or have we already replaced it?
No, we've not replaced it. We were gonna ask to surplus it probably in July or August anyway.
And that was our play.
They said that it broke down the other day on John Henry Road in Boontown, and they drove it, I think, about 20 miles an hour to get back to the white house.
Madam Chairman, I move that we send this to GovDeals.
Motion's been made, and second.
Second.
Second, motion's been made, and second that we send the, this 2001 XL F-250 extended cab 4x4 to GovDeals as surplus, and the opening bid would be $2,500. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that passes. So you can go ahead and get that. How about citizens' comments? Ms. Beasley? No comments? Anyone? Warren?
Warren sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have something, if my email will load, I happened to check, and Ms. Sass has responded.
Oh.
But it's not wanting to load, so after commissioner comments, I might have an update.
Okay. Okay, commissioners' comments, we'll start in the middle this time with Commissioner Jordan.
All right.
I try to change it up.
Well, great meeting today. Timely, and I do want to thank all of our citizens for being here, especially those in my district. Okay? And we hopefully we've accomplished some things today that the community will see great benefit from as the business has been carried out. So thanks for being here, thanks for being a part, and hopefully others will come and stay as well in the future.
Commissioner Felton?
Mr. Jordan, you have one, I have one. Good today. So I appreciate both of you coming out and the others that were here and have had to leave for whatever reason. And I always look forward to seeing people out in the audience to take part in the county government and the decisions that have to be made. Thank you.
I too follow suit, so Commissioner Jordan, appreciate all the input that we have had and from our citizens, and we continue to have. All of us as commissioners hear from you, and we enjoy hearing from you. You know you've heard a lot today, and as you see all of us here, we're just an extension of you. But what we're doing is applying that knowledge that we gain from you and other things that we learn, and then we apply that to real life situations. So thank you.
I also like to thank you for coming today and showing your interest in the county and the county business. And I think today you can see that county government reaches in so many different areas over our region and country as we talk about behavioral health, we talk about so many various things. And it is the government closest to you. You see us in the grocery stores, you see us down the street. Tell us what your thoughts are, and so that we can do, or concerns are, so that we can do a better job. Thank you.
We do thank you for your support, and thank you for coming and participating, and everybody have a great Easter.
Okay, now we need to,
It did not load. I will bring it back after a closed session.
okay, so at this time, I entertain a motion to go into closed session after a short recess.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 1183, 4, 5, and 6.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, I believe. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor of coming out of closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have one motion to come out.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to authorize payment to the CBDG recipient discussed in closed session of $1,000 for March as the final payment for the lease of county liability going forward in regards to CBG home replacement.
Okay, a motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? You see any problems? Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
I had promised before we went into closed session to update everyone with the response from Ms. Sass. She's, her response to my email where I explained some of the issues, she said, "This is such an interesting site. I think I can provide a different set of eyes with my background in materials deterioration and architectural conservation. And I will contact you later this afternoon." So as soon as I hear an update, I will send it to everyone.
Do you know where she resides? Or where?
She's in Charlottesville.
But since it piques, yes, but if it piques her interest, maybe she,
Fly right on that.
yeah, fly right on down. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so we'll be back together to
May, whatever, no,
April
April 20th.